Hello everyone and welcome back to KitbashCarnage. So today we're going to take a look at how to make a quick and easy lightning bolt, thunderbolt base type thing. So we need some cork, some wire here. This is stuffing actually from my dog's toy, his chew toy. And then we just have a base here and a piece of sprue. A few other bits you need, or you mightn't need, is just a miniature to kitbash for your person throwing your thunderbolt. Things like PVA glue and so on. So I've previously cut this hole in a previous video to make a different base, link in the description for that. So we'll do the same technique here, just outline the base, get your quick outline there of how much cork you want. And then you can either cut around this with a hobby knife or crafting knife, or what I tend to do sometimes, because I don't like this, it doesn't have to be neat and tidy. I just kind of break around with my fingertips, make it roughly the same size, and then with using the same slanted cutting technique in previous videos that I've explained, link in the description, you kind of turn the snips to an angle, so you don't have any of this overhang of the actual cork. This prevents, like I said, overhang, and it makes the actual base look that little bit neater. If you were looking for that overhang look, you'd probably be looking for this more, say a tile, or when I mean a tile, I mean like slate rock or something like that, or a rock or wood that is just overhanging the actual base itself. Then you would cut the opposite way, and what I mean by that is I'd flip the cork facing towards you instead of away from you, and that would then create an overhang look instead of this angled look that we're going for here. So once you're happy that fits roughly, don't forget, keep all these little trimmings. We use these in future projects. All trimmings and bits come in handy. So once you're happy with the size of this, we want to drill a hole straight in the middle through the cork and then into the actual base itself, and that's going to be where the actual lightning bolt hits. This idea is just in my head. I'm just thinking of a cloud with a lightning bolt coming down, and so I'm marking out where I kind of want the lightning bolt to strike. And then I was like, well, if what have I seen in movies, or like, Marvel and stuff, every time Thor strikes his hammer and all this, like the big lightning bolt hits the ground, it tends to make concrete explode, which isn't realistic, but we're not looking for realism here. So I'm trying to dig a little hole here in order to create that look that when the giant lightning bolt strikes the ground, the actual rock or the ground itself has then broken apart into a few pieces and created a big crater. I'm sorry if you can, creating a big crater in the floor itself. So that's what we're just doing here, is digging out a little bit of the cork to create that crater. That is a tongue twister and a half. So here we're just applying some PVA glue. I use PVA glue a lot for my sticking cork to my bases. It's cheap and it's widely available, well, pretty much widely available. It's just cheaper material. Also the cork itself tends to absorb a little bit of the PVA glue, or any type of material or anything that you're trying to stick to the cork and the base to, like using that type of material. Yeah, I'm really getting lost here what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean. So PVA glue is just cheaper, widely usable. I can just put more of it down and not have to worry about having to use a certain amount or too little, I'm just taking a look. This is just a paper clip. I was trying to see, like, in my head I'm thinking of the whole plan of this in my head. Like, so realistically, you need a thunderbolt. The main thunderbolt is going to be thicker than the rest because it's obviously the main thunderbolt. Then you have all these little branches coming off. So this is just ideas. I'm just coming up with this all in my head, the thinking. And I was like, well, the main thunderbolt is going to be the thing that is supporting the whole project, like the actual cloud, and I want the miniature to be on top, like throwing the thunderbolt, preferably like a sorcerer, chaos sorcerer. It'd be a cool idea to like throw the thunderbolt, and that's like his little diorama pose type thing. But the bigger paper clip, I wasn't going to bend the way I wanted it. So as you see here, this is this little bending thing I was talking about. We can, if you bend the actual paper clip at 90-degree angles to itself, so just back forth, and no, it doesn't have to be in any particular pattern, it's just random shapes. That creates then that lightning thunderbolt effect that you see, the ripples kind of that you would naturally see lightning create. So that's what we're just doing here with our little pliers snips thing. But just making sure that it's long enough in order to have the, because it's going to be a cloud on top, and what we don't want is the actual main lightning bolt to be too short, so the cloud is overshadowing the base itself and we don't get any of the effect, or we can't see the effect we're looking for that well. So this seems to be like the general length that I'm looking for. I was happy with the way it looks. Lightning bolts aren't really like that parallel, you know what I mean? They're all different shapes, they go in all different ways, so you don't have to be too precise on the direction it is. So we're going to attach this then to the base. So we're going to have to use our hand vice drill here and go straight through the cork into the base, and we'll just do this. Just be careful when you're doing this, guys. Just always be safe, you know. Make sure you don't put your hands behind it. As you can see, the way I'm holding it, my fingertips and my actual palm of my hand is quite far away from where the drill bit is coming out from, so always be safe. I may not preach or do what I preach, or preach what I do, whatever the saying is, but it doesn't mean you don't have to. Please always use proper safety equipment, PPE and whatnot. So we're just trying to figure out this and get this into the hole here. Yeah, sometimes this is gonna be a little bit tricky, so always make sure if you have to put the if you have to do this, see what I'm doing, that bit, if you have to do that again, you can kind of wiggle the drill bit around a little bit while you're drilling. English guys again. Yeah, here we go, the whole base falling apart. Remember, KitbashCarnage, not Kitbash perfect, so yeah, stuff's not bound to go that well on this channel as we want. Yep, see, yeah, as we want. Open the lid, please, thank you. There we go. So just put a generous supply of the PVA glue on for the second time. After me telling you to put a generous amount on, I do not listen to my own words. So we'll just make sure there's a good enough bond there, and obviously make sure that you have a helping a supply amount of PVA glue on, or whatever bonding material. You could use just hot glue. It would actually probably be better to use hot glue in this situation, but like I said, multiple videos, I rush into things like these, so having my hot glue gun ready for me at this time was the last thing I was worried about. What I was worried about was keeping this idea fresh in my mind. And I have actually I've just recently made myself a little project hobby book, so I'm gonna start putting all these things down, and they're all gonna get put on my Discord. So link in the description for my Ko-Fi, I think it's Ko-Fi, yeah, to my Ko-Fi account, and you can become a member there, where you get access to the Discord, and different tiers will get you different things and so forth. I do appreciate all the support. Any support, be it big or small, any like, I really do appreciate all your guys' comments as well. All the comments that I see on the recent videos, I appreciate it so much. I love the support, and I'm glad to hear about your own projects that you're doing. Always love to hear about people's projects that they're doing. So as you see, I've just put the paper clip through the hole, out the other side, bent the paper clip, and then I super glued it and stuck some of the excess cork that we had left over just to the side there, and stuck that so it will hold the paper clip in the position I'm looking for, and if it will stick, thank you. So it will hold the paper clip just in the position we're looking for and stop it from kind of moving and wobbling that little bit more. So when you're happy with that, we'll just make sure you don't stick it to the desk, everybody. So when you're happy with that, we'll move on to the next step. So I let that dry for a while. As you see, I was going to stick PVA glue down and get the outline of the grass and stuff and the base, but then I was rushing too far ahead. So I grabbed this piece of sprue here. So as I was sticking the paperclip through and all this is how my brain works. I was also thinking about how am I going to make a cloud? Like, I can't just stick all this stuff in, like, or cotton wool or any other type of thing you'd use for this cloud to itself. It would be too hard, it would all harden up. I wanted it to be still cloud-like. I don't even know if that's a saying, cloud-like. Poofy, puffy, but you know what I mean, like light, like a feather. I don't know, you get what I'm trying to say here. So I didn't want to just glue like it all together as one. Also, we would then have nothing to hold the paperclip lightning bolt coming through from the base. We would then have nothing to hold the miniature on. Like, you have to think about all these things. So we'll get a trusty out PVA glue out again, and I'm gonna stick the PVA glue onto the piece of sprue that I've just found and trimmed the size. And this is what I'm gonna use as the base for holding like the paperclip. It will attach the cloud itself to the paperclip, which or the lightning bolt, and then it'll attach to the base. This is going to be our support, our foundation for the project. So it's like a second bit. So the base itself, this is a big tongue, bear with me guys. The base itself that the lightning bolt's attached to, that's that base. That's like one piece. The second base is the sprue that is holding the cloud and the miniature, if that makes sense. So it's all going to become one whole piece, but with two separate sections just to make more stability and to not rely on one weak point in the whole project. Because if the one connection point, although it is that one lightning bolt on the first base that makes contact with the ground, the original one, that isn't going to be it's not one whole piece, so it's just easier to work with in general. I just try to simplify stuff, guys, because when I rush into things, if I don't simplify it as much, and now we just get cork. So yeah, so cork all stuck to my cloud now. Very good. I try simplify stuff as much as I can on the fly, guys. Try write stuff down as much as you can, but if an idea just pops into your head and you're one of them types of people that needs to get it done now before it goes, just try to simplify on the fly. Yeah, tongue twisters. English classes I need to take. So as you see here, we're just kind of trimming down the cloud itself, just taking off any pieces of cork that's stuck to it. There's a bit more there, and then we're just any loose bits, and we're just making it more cloud-like. What shape is a cloud? Well, your guess is as good as mine, but hold on, we'll just get this off. Thank you very much. We're just going to make it as much cloud shaped as we can. Take off any chunks that are just protruding, and then we'll just give it one more squeeze, and then we'll leave that then to harden, to let the PVA glue harden then from the sprue and the actual stuffing. So after a few minutes, this is what we've got. It's been about half an hour or so, and this is what we've got here. So the sprue that I just cut off is inside there, and then we've then just stuck that to the stuffing, and then we're going to stick the guy to the sprue, if that makes sense, and then the sprue is in the cloud, and then the cloud gets stuck to the lightning bolt, and the lightning bolt's on the base, and the base is also the cloud. And yeah, so you can see what we're going for, guys. It's easier to see than to explain. Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you again for putting up with me. So after I let that dry, I just went off and I sprayed it with a basic white base coat, or primer shall I say. Handy enough, the actual lightning bolt. This is the first step to create this lightning bolt effect, is to paint the whole lightning bolt, or any lightning bolts, all white first. That's the first type of coating you want on, is just a basic white coat primer, and that will give the first steps to the lightning bolt effect. And then we have our cloud here. That the cloud is ended up gonna have to go on top of the lightning bolt. Just make sure that you clean your desk there. We don't want anything else to stick onto it. And we're gonna have to make a little bit of a hole in one of the areas, so we're just looking for. Remember when we stuck this sprue in, there was a nice little bit of sprue that was quite thick. It was like around a thick bit, and we could then drill into that bit. So I thought ahead, I remembered that we had that bit there. So we're just finding that little thick bit of sprue here. And once you've created a hole and you found that sprue, you just kind of keep the cloud, or the stuffing, shall I say. It's not actually a cloud, but it looks like a cloud. Keep the stuffing away from that hole so you can get easy access to sticking the lightning bolt then through it. And it kind of gives an effect in a way, because it's like as if the lightning bolt is coming through and it kind of explodes the cloud in a way. And you see when it's all joined together, you don't really see this big hole. So we're just sticking this, we've drilled through there, and we're just sticking the main lightning bolt through the sprue. And this, we're leaving a little bit of lightning bolt or paper clip through the sprue in order to then become the attachment point of the miniature we're going to stick on top. So we're going to obviously drill a hole or some sort, or in the base or something, and that will then attach to that lightning bolt that will stick the miniature on top of the cloud. So yeah, it's kind of like the guy's gonna just sit on top. I'll have to take him off the base first, but then he's gonna just sit on top of the cloud itself. So we'll just snip. Just be very careful when you're snipping these off. There you go. Yeah. So very careful, and their heads just fall off. It must have been held down with blue tack or something. Let's just see. Can the hand just pop off? Hey, there we go. Be very careful with these figures, guys. They just tend to fall apart in your hands. I'm very heavy-handed, guys. Honestly, I'm the type of guy who closes a set of curtains, and then next thing you know, the curtain rail falls off the wall, and oh yeah, it's quite, yeah. So yeah, as you can see, that's kind of like what we're looking for. He's going to sit on top of the cloud here, and he's going to be, this is the basic body that we're going to use for this guy. So I've just drilled the hole through the foot, and he's just going to stick on there. If we can get him on. There we go. It's kind of, so yeah. Hold on. Oh, breaking everything. Yep. Let's just break it all. Just trying to show this one thing where we could just say that he would stay there. There we go. So that's kind of what he's going to be like. So yeah, not looking too bad so far. Right, so I was kind of having a look at this cloud, and I said to myself, snip a bit off. Because the cloud is, remember I was talking about at the very start of the video, we don't want the base to be overshadowed. So yeah, the cloud is so big you can't see anything. So we just cut a bit off there. I say a bit, it's basically a whole cloud. And as you can see, we've got a better kind of sized cloud towards the base. It's not protruding more over the base, and it doesn't take up the whole scene. So we're going to work on our little fella now. Our Chaos Sorcerer here, who's going to stick on top. While I'm stuck on. I'm not going to edit any of that out. While I stuck him on top, I noticed that he's not actually as big as I wanted him to be. I wanted him to be a little bit bigger, like size-wise, posture, kind of torso. He was a bit small. I don't know if he's actually a smaller Space Marine that I'm using this from, but I don't know. I'll just have a look through a few more bits, and I'll grab a few more bits to try and make him a bit bigger and bigger of a posture, size-wise. I'll probably use some green stuff as well, just to kind of bulge him out a little bit more, because for the Chaos Sorcerer I'm going for, I don't like how puny he looks, if that makes any sense. So we'll just have a look through a few of our bits and take out what we want to use or what we think might look good. So we're having a look at different backpacks here, different heads, arms, making sure everything fits right. So I know for a fact, or I didn't know, but I later in my mind realised that I need one hand free to hold the lightning bolt. If I'm going for the Chaos Sorcerer, instead of having like a staff he is throwing the lightning bolt as a staff, like that's his power, it's just his hands, it's coming out of his hand. And then he has something else in his other hand. I don't need, all I need is a plain arm. I don't need anything else, I just need a plain arm with a hand that I can use to put the lightning bolt through. And then the other arm, whether it be some type of melee weapon or anything like that, that's what I need to look for. But then I'm like, why would you need a melee weapon if you're sitting on top of a cloud? So there's no point. So in the end, we just end up going for a gun here, and then I think it's just a normal bolter. I'm sticking, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm very, very sorry, but it's a bolter anyway. I'm sticking another magazine type thing that I found on top of it, so it looks like a bigger kind of single-handed heavy bolter pistol type thing. My own creation of mine. I just think it looks cool. Yeah, go with the cool. When in doubt, go with the cool factor. Everybody knows that. Using our Tamiya extra thin cement here just to make a good bond with these two. Now I could go ahead and file this down just before we stick anything on top, because as we know, we rush too far ahead. So just give that a quick file, and then we'll snip it. So this is basically what I'm talking about. So it's basically like a magazine, and I couldn't tell you where I found this. It's just got it from my bits box. It looks like a magazine of some sort, so I was like, I'll snip that off, and it's a kind of the same size as the bullets that are in the other magazine that were on the gun already. So I'm going to stick that on top, and then it kind of makes it look like it's a dual magazined weapon or pistol. I'll just snip this, or we'll keep that for another time. So I can stick that magazine then on top, and yeah, it looks like some type of dual magazine weapon, like heavy bolter pistol thing. It looks like a cool weapon. That's what it looks like. Long story short, it looks cool. And I like it. I like the idea. And at the end of the day, it's your project, it's my project. It's not yours. But when you're making a project, that's what you need to think. You need to think, it's my project. I think it looks cool. I like it. Not, will other people like it? What will other people like? What's their opinion? It's good to have people's opinions, but at the end of the day, this isn't sitting in their house. This is taking up room in mine. I want it to look cool for me, because I'm going to be seeing it every day until I finally get rid of stuff, which will probably never happen. Yeah, my house is like a museum of unfinished projects. So just making sure that we have a good bond here with this magazine that we're sticking on. So I know it would probably make more sense to stick a dual magazine on top, but we're just sticking the one. Pretend that it's single fed, belt driven, however guns work, just from the top, and then it has two magazines from the bottom. Just pretend. You use your imagination here. That's what we're all about. Facts and realism don't really matter here. To be honest, do you really think a guy at this stature, as he is before we've done anything to him, would be able to sit in a cloud? Do you even think any of this is possible? No. And that's what's good about it, is making the impossible possible and bringing stuff from your imagination into reality. This is what I love about the hobby that we all enjoy. I hope you enjoy. Hope that's why you're here. If not, welcome, and stay tuned for more crazy stuff that I make. Thank you for putting up with my crazy editing and me barely ever being able to speak and whatnot. And just thank you very much for all the support. I appreciate every last bit of it. Thank you once again. So there's our little fella so far, our little sorcerer guy. We've stuck his head on, we've got him in it. Well, to be honest, so we're just, I'm not happy. So I wasn't happy with the size of him, so we just kind of broke him apart. I really amn't happy with how puny he looks. I've called him a little fella twice now. I don't really want to call him that again, so let's make him not look like a little fella. Nothing again. Listen, in real life, I'm not a big fella. You know what I mean? But He's a Chaos Sorcerer. They're not really the smallest, well, in my army anyway, they're not really the puniest guys. A lot of my armies are mutated look, so we're sticking a bit of green stuff in him. Chop his torso in half, a bit of green stuff in the middle there. This is how I extend torsos in my army. So just pinch a bit of green stuff off, stick it together. All this overhang here, we're just going to use a silicone tool just to push in and smooth in, creating that good bond between the two pieces of plastic that we cut apart there. So just use the silicone tool, make sure we have a firm bond in there. Just make sure that the green stuff is actually connecting to the two separate pieces of plastic that we have, just to make one whole piece, because once this dries we want it to be nice and sturdy. And after that, we just roll a little piece of green stuff up, and since we've extended the torso, we need to kind of extend the neck a little bit, or else it's going to look like he has a giant body and his head is shrunk in like a turtle. So we stuck a little bit of green stuff in the neck there, then plonked his head on top, orientated his head to a certain way that we wanted, and then we're going to do the same thing with the left arm or right arm, whichever it is, the left arm shall I say. We'll stick some green stuff on here, and I'm going to orientate the gun into the position that I want. Then with some excess green stuff, I just rolled up into a ball. I wet my cutting mat there, and then I've rolled out the green stuff into a very thin kind of sheet. And it's kind of too thin, as you can see me patching my holes up there. I don't really mind about how battered looking, if that makes any sense, like tattered, weathered, battered, tatty. I don't mind how bad the cape looks, because at the end of the day, this is a Chaos Sorcerer. First statement. Second statement, he's up in the sky in the middle of a cloud that has thunderbolts shooting all over the place, and it's probably not the best weather up there. So if you had any type of cape or anything like that, bound to probably get ripped or torn. It's not really going to be in perfect condition up there, yeah. So we can get away with stuff like this. You don't have to be too perfect. I don't like to be too perfect in general. There's certain projects that you have to be perfect and precise. This is not one of them, because of the whole theme of the project itself, being up in the clouds, being in a thunderstorm type situation. So for the right arm here that's going to get attached, we'll drill a little hole through the hand there, as you're seeing, and this is going to get attached or used for the thunderbolt itself. We don't, and because of the orientation that is being held in, we don't actually need any green stuff for this arm. So we're just going to stick it together with some Tamiya extra thin cement. And we're just going to stick it together with some Tamiya extra thin cement. Come on, please. Yeah, I didn't just repeat I did repeat myself, but you thought it might have been an editing mistake, but it wasn't. I'm just saying to please stick. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, watch it fall off now in 2 seconds. So I'm just getting the cape here, and I'm just making sure it lines up. Sometimes you might need to get yourself your hobby knife or your crafting knife and cut kind of straighter lines in the actual cape itself, depending on which way it's going to bend to your figurine or what way you want it to be. You might want to make smoother lines to contour into the neck area where it will attach to the actual, like, the armor of the miniature, and then mold it into whichever shape you want. So that's all I've done here. So yeah, all you can see me do here is just push it into the neck area and get it looking like it's part of the armor, or it's coming out of the armor. So you might need to just trim a little bit off here and there just to get that perfect fit, or near enough perfect fit that you're looking for. Just whatever you're comfortable with. It's, as I said, nothing has to be perfect. As long as you're comfortable with what you're doing, that's all that matters. And I've another hole kind of coming into this cape here, but it's trying to make it, hold on, trying to make it better is actually making it worse. Yeah. But like I said, we don't really mind too much about this because it's chaos. Chaos is known to be a bit kind of like this corrupt kind of, you know, gothic kind of grungy, worn downish look, you know. And then it's our lore of our army is like part of the word bearers kind of that broke off, and it goes with it all. So we stuck our cape on, and we've stuck our little mini over in the corner to dry into position we want, and then we're going to work on colouring the base and our lightning bolts. So first things first, we need to get some paints. Well, we move this out of the way, and then we get some paints. So I have a wet palette here that I've been using for some of my army and just some other stuff I've been doing. As you can see there, there's a base that is in shot there that I should have taken out, but that's just from a previous project. Link in the description also for that video if you want to see. I did make a lava base tutorial also. My second time using epoxy ever. Kind of went as planned, kind of didn't, but you know, KitbashCarnage once again, not Kitbash perfect. We go with what we can, and this channel is all about just us learning together, guys. I did do this hobby 15 plus, probably 17 years ago now. I was into it a bit more then than I am, only because I had more time back then than I do now. But I'm going into this full force. I'm trying to use or re-evaluate, just get all them, I don't even know the word, get all the knowledge that I used to know back out of my brain, and get, you know, it's like riding a bike, you never forget, but once you start doing stuff, it starts coming back to you of how you do this, how you do that, what you used to do, what techniques and whatnot. So yeah, we're getting there slowly but surely, and I do appreciate you guys staying with me on this journey. It means more than you think. Thank you very much. So we've just painted the black there, done a bit of white, and then we've got our rock kind of look we're going for. And then I was thinking, while I was doing that, wouldn't it be good to have some type of figurine like exploded with the lightning bolt? So I went and picked out some Necron pieces that I had, and I'm just going to chop this up here just to give it that like lightning bolt stricken effect, you know, as if it was hit with lightning, like, you know, a big bolt of electricity and exploded rather than was crushed and whatnot. So the paints I'm going to go with here to use are Green Stuff Flora paints. I like to use these for little effects. They give good touches and they're very vibrant colours to use in contrast with putting base materials and other stuff on. So I'm going to use the blue. The blue Flora is going to go towards the lightning effect, and then the green Flora is going to go towards like a Necron kind of blood or ooze that comes out of the Necrons, just some type of effect. You won't see it too much, it'll be covered with a lot of foliage and other stuff I'll be putting on the base, but it will be there in its little slightness. Also, all of these have a little secret, so stay tuned. Link in my description for my Instagram, where you will find secrets that all these projects that I do bring to life under blacklight. Ooh. I don't know what I done there. Oh. So we're just going to get a generous amount of the Green Stuff World Flora Green here, and just apply it to where we're going to put the Necron body, where a build-up of Necron ooze or plasma or whatever goes through their robot bodies, you know, like the same color as their guns type stuff. I'm not too good with lore, but yeah, as you can see here, we just stuck that green down there, and then that's where we'll stick the Necron, and it will create that look that we're going for. So here's our Chaos Sorcerer with our cape done and dusted. You can see the folds that I was going for. And then this is our little pieces of wire that we're going to use to create that look that I said at the very beginning of the whole lightning bolt hitting the ground and then concrete exploding due to a lightning bolt, or heavy electricity. You know, it's the whole Marvel look that you go for when a lightning bolt strikes and concrete comes up flying and there's lightning going between the concrete. Yeah, we're gonna try and make that. So as I said, I don't write any of this down or plan too much ahead. This idea just came to me. I was like, oh, I'll do this, that would be cool. I think I was flicking through other stuff on Instagram or whatnot, and I've been watching a lot of Marvel stuff with the partner recently, and yeah, between that and then getting back into the whole hobby of warhammering and kitbashing and just making in general, and then looking on all the inspiration that you see on Instagram of other makers, I just said, why not go for this idea? I've always wanted to do something like this. I have a whole plan to do a project of the 4 types of, the 4, earth, water, wind, fire, all them, the 4 elements, that's it, like Avatar. So I'm going to do like little diorama things, kind of like this one I'm doing, and the lava one that I've done previous, but they're going to be much more detailed with much more effects going on, kind of much more bigger as well. So they'll be in like a box shape, the size of that green lid that's there. So it'll be around that size. So picture a box the size of that, cubed, and write in the comments below what you think about that idea. I'd love to get your input on it. So that's just one of the projects that I have in mind. I have another huge project that is, I'll just say it's 1 foot by 2 foot by 3 foot. It's pretty big. So that's another project coming up, and that won't be till near the end of the year that I'll start showing little leaks of it, but that will then be released at the end of the year. So as you see in what we've done there, we basically just got them little bits of cork that we had pushed to the side from previously making the first round piece of cork, and we just put them through the piece of the wire that we have, and we're just going to cut that into increments, so little increments of the length and how many pieces of cork. You can choose how you want this. You don't have to follow exactly how I do it, but it's just a general idea. Keep all these pieces of wire for extra little bits of lightning that are dotting in between these rocks. We'll show you now. Do use the same effect, just moving your pliers thing just back and forth, so you're basically, that wire is just getting at a 90-degree angle to itself. It doesn't have to be in any particular order, just sporadic, just back and forth, as random as possible, because lightning really isn't in, or to my knowledge, it doesn't come in a certain pattern, like it's not always equal, the same, it's just sporadic, it's just a bit everywhere, it's just a zigzag, There's the general idea of what a lightning bolt looks like, but they come in all shapes and sizes. So after you've done that to pretty much all the pieces you've cut out there, we're going to attach these. So you're basically going to force the piece of wire into the base, like the piece of cork on the bottom, and then the wire then is on top, is then going, if it's long enough to reach the cloud on top, you're just going to stick it into the cloud, and the wire and the piece of fluff will just hold like that by itself. You can then stick a little bit of PVA glue or super glue to hold that wire to the cloud. If it's not long enough, try to bend it back into the piece of cork, like the piece of cork on the base that you just stuck it into, or into another piece of cork. So like you see here, this is the general effect that we're going for. So you're just sporadic pieces of concrete that have came up from the floor after being smashed with lightning, and then our little sorcerer on top, and he's just going to be holding another lightning bolt, which will give the effect that he has then thrown the lightning bolt out of his hand, and that's what's then created the big smashing crater in the ground, and all that effect that we're going for. So you just take another piece of wire here, and this is going to be the actual lightning bolt that is coming out of the sorcerer. It's going into the cloud, and then through onto the ground, and that's creating this whole effect. So we're just going to pass it, we bent it, crinkled it, or bent it up a little bit, and then we're going to pass it through his hand, and then we're going to crinkle it some more. Make sure you have the right length, so put your miniature back and forth in its position and make sure that the actual lightning bolt reaches from his hand down to the cloud and is long enough to go into the cloud and reach the position of the main supporting lightning bolt, so it looks seamless, if that makes sense, or as seamless as it can get. We are doing this on the fly, not really much thought, or a lot of thought gone into it, but not really much planning gone into it. It's literally just had the idea sat down. So with more planning you could probably use the same thickness of wire and whatnot, but this is what we're going with so far. So yeah, we're just crinkling up a little bit more, and then we'll pass it through that hole, make sure it's the right length, crinkle it on the other side, and then snip it to size basically. So here we are, just bending this on the other side of the miniature's arms, the other side of the sorcerer's hand. We're just crinkling it up to a certain height that we're happy with. And then as soon as you're happy with that, just snip it to size. I always use a sort of one particular snips for like cutting metal and stuff like that I don't mind it getting a bit blunt, and I have a separate snips, as you can see there, that I always use for plastic and whatnot. It's always good to have two separate ones. You don't want to blunten your plastic cutting one, the one that you cut off sprues, and then be left with too much plastic and have to file too much away and clean up too much mess. But the drawback is that your other metal one always goes blunt, and as you've seen there, you have to force it. But it's worth it in the end, I'd rather have two separate ones than use one for everything, So we're happy with him, and we're going to give him a quick prime. And then we're give the quick lightning bolts a quick prime. And this is us doing the effect here with the blue, and then quickly painting up the actual sorcerer himself with some red and a bit of green on the cape that we have there. And then we'll just leave him to dry and put him to the side. So I'll show you in a little bit exactly the effect I'm talking about with the lightning. You'll see me paint in every direction where the lightning bends. So as I see here, I'm painting. You paint where the direction of the lightning bolt bends. So it goes white, dark blue, lighter blue, and that kind of creates this effect. And then here we're just dry brushing some white and silver, just blue bits of darker blue, lighter blue, just to give a rocky kind of effect, or a concrete effect. Sorry we're passing through this very quickly, but I don't consider my painting being up to any standards whatsoever, so it is what it is. I don't see... leave a comment if you want to see more detailed painting videos, but it is what it is. I don't see anything good with it, so I just kind of skip through these parts. Here I'm just doing more effect for lightning on the base itself, and then more effect on the lightning bolt for the sorcerer. And then this is the effect, the lightning effect, that it's kind of like the lightning came out of the lightning bolt, and then it's cracked and gone through the ground and of like the concrete itself, if that makes sense. And then with some help with some white, grey and black sand, we're going to give the rocks, or the the cork that texture we're looking for, like the stony texture, because so far it just looks like it has a stony texture, where like from paint. And as I said previous, I don't consider my painting being up to any other standard than my own standards for painting, like for me, not in general. So we'll stick some stone down or sand down to give that effect, and then some more foliage with grass down, with our trusty PVA glue. Oh my, I really need to learn to speak properly, more slowly, and enunciate. That's what I think I do a good job sometimes. So here, as you can see, we just sprinkled our PVA glue, put the foliage on, or put the sand on. Now we're just sticking our foliage on. So we do this in steps. We stick PVA, then the sand, then we let that dry, then we stick more PVA, and then the foliage. This way we're not overlapping, and the actual products, materials we're sticking down, like the sand sticking to the PVA, and then it's drying, and then the foliage is then sticking to the PVA where we want it. It's not sticking to the PVA previously that we put down for the sand, because that's already dry now. So this is why I can be as messy as I am here. You see in the video, I'm just sprinkling it on. I don't mind too much where it goes, because we don't have to worry about it sticking anywhere we don't want it. So we just throw it all over, give it a little tap in our little bucket, and then we should have the effect, hopefully have the effect we're looking for. So this is kind of what we're going for here. If I get it in shot, you can see a little bit of what we're going for. So there we go. And then I'm just going to get some Flora Red and go over the Sorcerer's armor again, and then a bit of Flora Blue, and just go over the lightning bolt and stuff. So these are all kind of bit of green, anything you can go over the colors that are previously put down. The Flora gives it that little bit more of a brighter look to it. So here we are, this is the finished product. Thank you very much for staying tuned and bearing with my editing mistakes and me not being able to speak English correctly half the time. Thank you very much everyone, I appreciate your support, and stay tuned for more. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. Thank you everyone for giving me your time, and appreciate every one of you. Thank you so much.